Cops should be the ones who protect the public from dangerous people, but what happens when cops find out there's a pedophile among them?
She was scared to death.
Found in the deleted section?
I can't give you that.
I use toys.
Here are 4 times when cops realized their colleague was a pedophile, starting with the case of Detective Robert Strand. On May 25, 2022, officers were deployed to the arrest of Robert Strand after a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that he had almost 100 child sexual abuse materials.
Sir, can I have you do me a favor? Set your paperwork on the tailgate right there. Go ahead and place your hands behind your back for me. Go ahead and relax your legs. Okay. I want to get you into this vehicle quickly. Okay. But I don't want you to take anything you don't need to have.
2 months before the arrest, officers obtained a search warrant for Robert's internet history, where they discovered he had downloaded over 90 images of girls barely 13 years old and juveniles as young as infants being sexually abused by adults.
You're being placed under arrest where we'll be getting an arrest warrant for you, sworn out today for possession of child pornography. Or possession of sexual exploitation of a child, of children, possession statute.
Okay, the biggest thing for me is I do this for everybody. I don't want a big scene made about anything. So I'm going to be as discreet as possible. Cooperate with me, we'll be fine. Let's get this portion done and do what we got to do.
The cops explained to Robert the reason for his arrest and his present transportation to a meetup point where officers from another police department would take over the case. Robert had no warning he was getting arrested that day, and so was expected to be anxious about the situation. But what he said next proved that wasn't the case.
Yes, sir. Pick up your dogs?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, let me get I'll have Owen bring me a notepad out. I'll get the information. Absolutely, we'll do that. Are those cuffs good for you? Okay. All right, sir, go ahead and give me the name.
It's going to be Sherry
Sherry.
Strand. S-T-R-A-N-D.
Okay. Is there anything that she needs to know other than just take the dogs?
Just take the dogs.
Okay, as soon as they're completed the residence with the search warrant, I'll let her know, and we'll get that handled for you.
Robert knew that if convicted and found guilty of his alleged felony crime, he was likely to spend anywhere from 5 to 20 years in prison. But he somehow remained unfazed by this possibility and worried more about the welfare of his dogs. During his arrest, other officers were also dispatched with a warrant for the search of his home. They wanted to get all the information about the case, and so did Robert.
So, I know you probably can't tell me who or when or why. Was it, you was telling if it was in the deleted section?
Sir, I don't see. I'm not that guy.
Oh, okay.
So
I know there was nothing.
Yeah, I don't deal with the forensics. I'm unaware of how that operates. Right. I mean, I have a very, very small IQ when it comes to that, but I'm sure that Special Agent Pena will be able to answer some questions for you. Absolutely.
Okay.
I wish I did, but I do not.
No, you're fine. So what happens from there?
They'll go ahead and finish processing all the scenes.
Okay.
We're going to turn you over to Rio Rancho Police Department for transport and detention.
Okay.
And
is it going to be this jail here or Santa Fe? Do you know?
Sir, I don't.
Okay, so
I'm unaware of
this
how.
jail.
Yeah, I'm unaware of how Rio Rancho deals with these types of detentions. I don't know.
Okay.
But I'm sure we'll advise them of who you are,
Okay.
and so that'll be taken into consideration, of course.
I really wish you guys would take me to jail because Rio knows me just as well. That's what's
Yeah.
the baddest.
We've made it a policy we utilize New Mexico State Police or local jurisdictional
Right.
officers to transport for us. So that's kind of how we run the process.
In the course of interrogation, Robert confirmed the existence of child sexual abuse material on his phone, disclosing that he had deleted them immediately after viewing them. But in their search, agents discovered a GIF of a girl between 6 and 10 years old being sexually abused by a man, alongside photos of Strand having sexual relations with a computer-generated preteen male. After minutes of waiting for his transport, Robert became increasingly anxious and began asking questions that had already been answered.
I don't know how much you can answer, but was that found in the deleted section?
I can't give you that right now.
Okay.
It'll be listed in the where it was found.
Okay.
In the arrest warrant.
Yeah. Anything I knew about was.
Okay. All right.
That's why I was asking.
Okay, no problem.
I didn't think I was being arrested for that.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
So what's next?
What's next is Rio's coming. They're gonna transport you to their holding cell,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna finish out my warrant, send it to my prosecutors. Prosecutor's gonna approve it, and then I'm gonna walk over here and get a judge to look to see if I can get a judge to sign the arrest warrant. Once the arrest warrant is signed out, you'll be booked on that arrest warrant. All right. Any other questions?
No, I appreciate you guys.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Robert, who had recently become a detective, had been with the police department for 8 years before his crimes were uncovered. He was placed on administrative leave and charged with 5 counts of possession of child pornography. After being released on a bond, Robert was barred from having unsupervised internet access and prohibited from going to areas where children aged below 16 could be present. Although Robert's case was distasteful, this next case involved a deputy sheriff who desperately needed a lawyer.
Can I ask, is this something I should have lawyers on?
In April 2020, police received an anonymous tip that an officer, Jalen Devon, had engaged sexually with a minor. Jalen, unaware of the report, arrived at the county sheriff's jail where he worked and was invited to the interrogation room, where he would discover the unfortunate reality that awaited him.
We're actually doing an investigation on some allegations that we have to obviously look into. You're law enforcement officers, so you know that we look into everything equally.
After reading him his rights, the detective began questioning Jalen on his personal life to build rapport and make him feel at ease and unthreatened.
And I hear your schedule recently changed. How do you feel about the schedule change?
Yeah. 7, 12 and a half in a row. Kills you. 7 off is nice, but it flies by, so.
Jalen somehow divulged personal information to the detectives, probably with the thought that they were unimportant to the case with the minor. But he would soon realize that they would become a huge asset later on in the interrogation.
I know when it comes to Facebook, you connect it to an email address. And then your Instagram account, what, same email?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And I know sometimes with Snapchat, they'll have you either sign up with a phone number or an email.
I believe it's my phone number.
With seemingly innocent motives, the detectives now had Jalen's email address and phone number. But while he answered all questions, his arms were crossed and he was swaying in his chair, clear signs that he was nervous. And that made sense, because Jalen was a police officer, so he knew if he was in the interrogation room and wasn't the one asking the questions, he was in for something big.
I will ask what this is about?
Yeah, so we're looking into some allegations that were made. We're kind of, it started with a Crime Stopper report, so we're just kind of going from there. We did receive a picture that, you know, when we looked into it, it looks similar to you. So I don't know if you can take a look at the picture and just tell me if you've seen this picture before. Oop, so this picture right here.
Yeah, that's definitely me. I went to Grossmont.
Okay, so this picture right here, how old were you when it was taken?
I don't know, 20?
20? Have you ever used this picture on any social media site?
I think it was Snapchat back in the day, yeah.
Okay. All right. Have you ever shared this picture with anybody on Snapchat?
Yeah, probably with my wife, to be honest. I mean, obviously I talked to other girls back in the day too, but I can't remember. Right off the head.
The detective showed Jalen a picture of him connected to the reports, and he denied sending them to anyone else other than his wife and some girls on Snapchat a long time ago. While answering the questions, Jalen kept his eyes down and avoided the detective's gaze, and that wasn't going to go unnoticed.
This photo came up in connection with some allegations about you communicating with a younger female on Snapchat.
Okay.
Have you ever communicated with any females that we've already recognized that yes you have with your recruit from the past? Is there anyone else you've communicated with on Snapchat?
I mean, back then, no, just close friends and coworkers and stuff like that.
Anyone recently?
No.
This was Jalen's 5th year as a police officer, and he had been trained for half a decade in the art of remaining calm and even concealing his emotions when necessary. The one-word reply, closed body language, and evasion of eye contact all rang alarms to the detectives that there was something he didn't want them to know. But he quickly realized that they knew a lot more than he thought.
Well, along with the photo came some additional information about your personal life.
Okay.
And based on some of the information you shared with me today, it seems to add up.
Okay.
So is there any reason why the person would say they're you and share your information?
Sounds like it'd be someone that knows me then, obviously. I don't know who. I don't have any enemies that would be doing something like that.
While interrogating suspects, detectives have the permission to lie about having evidence that convicts the suspect, so that the suspects feel helpless and come clean. Being a cop, Jalen knew this all too well and decided not to call their bluff, but to double down and claim it was an enemy who shared his info. The only way he knew the detective wasn't bluffing was if she somehow knew the exact details that he shared with the minor.
Can I ask what information was shared? What they know?
We know that you're a baseball player.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people know that.
Yeah. So that information was kind of shared.
Okay.
Your work schedule.
It's been 5 years now I've worked here.
Specifically the transition to 7 days on, 7 days off.
Really? I haven't shared anything like that recently. I couldn't tell you who that would be.
Stiff-bodied, breathing into his chest and arms wrapped around himself for comfort, Jalen realized he mistook the detective's friendly personality for ignorance, and it was clear now that things were only going to get worse.
I know as an athlete, sometimes when I would do my usernames and stuff, I would kind of use a combination of my things that I know about myself, right? So that way I wouldn't forget it. So this particular picture came from an account with this username, right? J178211. Okay? And I recognize that your jersey name in college was 17.
Yes, it
and
was.
then high school was 82, and it was 11. In 2011?
I never had 11.
No, as far as you graduated in 2011.
I did, yeah.
And it goes by J, and it is a Snapchat account that has some links to you.
Okay.
Okay? Jay, I'll be very honest, I want to know the truth.
Yeah, no, I never even heard of that account.
Okay.
The Snapchat account that shared Jalen's picture and personal details with the minor was J178211, a combination of his name, 17 being his baseball jersey number in college, 82 his jersey number in high school, and 11 standing for his graduation year of 2011. On top of that, it was linked to Jalen's email address and phone number. After several questions, Jalen asked for a lawyer, although regrettably a little too late. This case involved 4 victims between the ages of 12 and 14, with prosecutors contending that there were more than 41 victims who couldn't be tracked down to verify their ages. Jalen pleaded guilty to 18 felony and 2 misdemeanor charges and was sentenced to 12 years in state prison. While Jalen eventually pleaded guilty to his crimes, the next cop's denial was an entirely different level.
Listen, I'm out here. I know what you're right here to do.
I'm not here to do nothing.
Listen.
I'm here to get a Turkey Hill ice.
On August 15, 2020, 2 men had agreed to meet up at a store after talks on a dating platform. But upon making contact, they weren't so happy to meet each other.
Hey, what's going on?
What you here for?
How you doing?
What's your name?
Paul.
Paul?
Yeah.
What you right here for?
What's that?
What you right here for, Paul?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm here to meet some of my friends.
Here to meet. Here to meet your friends?
The man in the car identified himself as Paul, and he acted quite strangely for someone approached by a person he had planned on meeting. But that was because the person with the camera wasn't the person he thought he'd meet there, and he was in for something big.
I'm here to get I'm here to get Turkey Hill iced tea. Some cash. Why?
Oh, don't. Keep your hands where I can see them.
Who are you?
20 seconds into the strange interaction, Paul's story had changed from meeting friends to getting iced tea. The man with the camera wasn't in a police uniform, but Paul put his hands up anyway, obvious signs that he was nervous and had been caught doing something he wasn't supposed to do.
Listen, I'm out here. I know what you're right here to do.
I'm not here to do nothing.
Listen.
I'm here to get a Turkey Hill iced.
You hit up one of my decoys already.
No. Listen,
Yeah.
buddy, you got the wrong guy.
Buddy.
The man with the camera, Musa Harris, had logged into an online dating platform and appeared as a 15-year-old boy only to be messaged by Paul that night to meet up at the store for some type of sexual pleasure. So Paul arrived at the store hoping to find a teenage boy, but instead, he was stared in the face by a predator catcher.
Buddy, Paul?
No. My name's not Paul.
You just said Paul.
No.
You just said your name Paul.
My name's not Paul. You got the wrong guy, buddy.
The man had faked his online persona so well that it was the first answer his brain could think of in a hostile situation. But when he realized the extent of the situation, he tried so hard to disassociate himself from the persona that his brain entered a flight mode.
What's good, man? What's up? What's up? There's another one right here.
You're not playing no homie game with me. You're not playing no game.
Got one again right here.
You're not playing no game with me.
Get your ass out of here.
The predator catcher had struck again, but at that time, he didn't know who exactly he had caught. The man he caught was ex-police officer Leonard Galli, who was terminated 3 years before this incident for breaking office protocol. He was ordered to undergo sex therapy and is now registered as a Tier 3 sex offender. Leonard was sentenced to 1 to 2 years in prison and 5 years of probation, but the next suspect's crimes earned him 440 years in prison.
I don't know nothing about the lady. She was scared to death.
On June 10, 2006, at approximately 12:30 a.m., a female 911 caller reported a man looking through her window, and upon arrival of police, they saw their colleague, Jeffrey, by the side of the house. Jeffrey was arrested and taken to an interrogation room with the hopes of a sensible explanation, but the detective was left disappointed.
Did you meet up with the police officer last night? You're talking about Zena. Yes. When I was walking around by the lake, looking at the lake down there. Again, I drove down there. I couldn't sleep. All right. Houses come up for sale in that area all the time. I'm interested in buying my mother-in-law a house. She lives up in Greeley. She's poor. She's on fixed income. I want her to move closer to us. Houses come for sale. There's a townhome right there for sale. It won't work. But anyway, I was looking to see what kind of access went down to that lake. That's all. All right. I was starting to walk around, parked, walked down, looked at the lake. When I was leaving, where'd you park it? I don't know the name of the street.
But it wasn't right there where you were at.
It was by the lake. That lake goes behind those houses.
The cop claimed he was in the area at 12:30 a.m. because he was looking for a new place for his mother-in-law and was only making his way back to his parked car when he got arrested. The detective felt Jeff's story was rather outrageous, and it wasn't a situation a cop would knowingly put themselves in.
Well, you know, as being a police officer, that kind of thing is not within the norm. We don't, as police officers, we don't walk around at 12:30 at night in the morning, walking in between houses.
I walked between the houses. I was by the lake. I couldn't keep going, so I walked up between the houses. That's it.
Come on, Jeff. I mean,
Yes.
I mean that is just it doesn't make sense to anyone.
All right.
It doesn't make sense.
Again,
Does it?
yes, it makes sense to me because that's what I went there to do. All right.
If I'm going to look at a lake access, I'm not going to do it at 12:30 in the morning.
All right. Poor choice of times, but that's why I did it. All right. I just walked down there. All right.
What are you, 17 years?
Yeah.
17 years of being a police officer.
I understand.
And you don't think that is a severe error in judgment to be, all right, in between two houses at 12:30 in the morning,
All I was doing was walking from the lake to the road. All right. You're implying that I'm doing something mischievous between these houses, and all I'm doing is walking from the lake up to the road. That's it.
Jeff repeated his story multiple times to the detective, and aside from it being very hard to believe, Jeff's situation seemed particularly suspicious to the detective, and he believed that before Jeff was caught, he had planned to do something very sinister that night.
it is just right down the line.
Right down what line?
I mean, he's called out there, all right, there's nobody else out there but you. This lady has someone prowling around her windows. She's a very attractive young lady.
It wasn't me. I wasn't prowling around anyone's windows. I wasn't prowling around at all. Again, when the dog's barking, I said, oh, I need to go up on the road, and that's when I walked between the houses.
Well, what makes you decide to go look at a house at 12:30 in the morning?
I wasn't looking into houses. I'm interested in a house in an area. I was looking at that lake. That is all.
Jeff stuck with his story, and after over an hour of interrogation, he was allowed to leave the station. But the authorities weren't satisfied with his testimony, and an investigation was carried out which revealed something very shocking. After searching Jeff's police computer, authorities found that he had recently run the license of the woman whose house he was arrested that night. But that wasn't all. Authorities also found the names of two other women, Christy Mills and Sarah Combs Kliege, who were violently raped at their home by a man matching Jeff's description.
And what does he say to you?
He said that, I'm only here to burglarize you. I don't want to hurt you, but if you scream, if you make any noise, I'll shoot you. And the next thing I remember is he was on top of me in the bed. He actually taped all the way around my head so that I wouldn't be able to open my mouth at all. Tape over my eyes.
So you couldn't see?
I couldn't see, and then he actually took the pillowcase off my pillow and put it over my head as well.
That must have been scary.
Extremely.
At the beginning it was gun to my head, knife to my throat. Every single thing he did, he was physically threatening me. He knew everything about me. What my sister looks like, to what car my husband drove, my work schedule. He knew where I worked out, height, weight, way he carried himself. He had very distinct, bright blue eyes. I knew, I would be able to pick them out as soon as I saw that person.
During the investigation, Christy and Sarah were asked to pick Jeff out from a photo lineup, and even though they claimed he wore a mask during the attacks, they were able to identify Jeff as the rapist, stating that his clear blue eyes were too glaring to forget. After an extensive court process, a jury found Jeff guilty of 35 counts of rape, kidnapping, and stalking, and he was charged with 440 years in prison.